Guys, I'm Alfred Spot and welcome to week 4 of the Premier League review. We are back after a week of international football. The Premier League is back, thank God. But if you are new to this series, what we do is we take a look at the past set of Premier League results, we take a look at the Premier League table, and finish by looking at the Premier League top goal scorers. So here is the past set of Premier League results. These games were played on Saturday the 9th, Sunday the 10th, and Monday the 11th of September 2017. Also next to the games are the times in this video, so if you want to hear about a specific game, just go to the time next to the match and just skip out all the other crap. But without further ado, let's get into our first match. We start with Manchester City versus Liverpool. To quote a good friend, Marshall Mathers, all Liverpool fans snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes rabbit. He choked. He's so mad, but he won't give up. I'll stop. Manchester City took the lead in the 24th minute, and it was just too easy for them. Mignolet starts the move when his clearance isn't the best, and Fernandinho gets the ball and finds Kevin De Bruyne. De Bruyne then plays a great ball through to Sergio Aguero, who dances around the keeper and taps the ball into the empty net for his 124th Premier League goal, which makes him the highest scoring non-European in the Premier League. And things would go from bad to worse for Liverpool, as in the 37th minute, Sadio Mane was shown a straight red card. It came when a great ball was played over the top to Mane, who was one-on-one with Ederson. Both men go for the ball when it's in the air. Mane goes in with his foot, Ederson goes in with his face, and Mane catches Ederson with his boot. In the end, I do have to agree with it. It was dangerous. His studs were showing, and Mane does catch Ederson square on the jaw. People disagree. People agree. I have to agree with it in the end. It's dangerous play. There was suspected jaw fracture, but he's fine. He's fine. And when play did restart after Ederson received treatment, which took 9 minutes. It took 9 minutes to get a guy on a stretcher and take him away. But when the game did get back underway, Man City doubled their lead in the 7th minute of stoppage time. Gabriel Jesus had the ball in the net a minute before, but it was ruled out for offside, but not this time, as Kevin De Bruyne put a ball into the box and Jesus converts the ball with his head. And Man City made it 3-0 in the 53rd minute when Gabriel Jesus got his second of the match. Man City caught Liverpool out on a counter-attack as John Stones intercepts the pass and gave it to Fernandinho, who then slid the ball through to Sergio Aguero. Aguero is one-on-one with Simon Mignolet, but surprisingly he squared it for Jesus, who tapped into the empty net. And Man City got their 4th in the 77th minute when Leroy Sané got a goal from the subs bench. Sané started the move as he gave it to Benjamin Mendy out wide. Mendy then crossed the ball into the box, and Sané is at the near post, and he finished easily. And Man City made it 5-0 in the 90th minute when Leroy Sané got his second. It was the best goal out of all of them, as Kyle Walker gave the ball to Sané about 25 yards out, and Sané then curled the ball left-footed into the top corner. And that's how the game ended. Like I said on the live stream, Man City completely deserved the win. Liverpool were just awful, like really bad. One of the worst performances I've ever seen from a Liverpool team. They hardly had a touch of the ball until Dominic Solanke came on and he was actually trying to win the ball and go forward. The game really changed after Mane's red card, as he is Liverpool's star man, and after he went off the pitch, we were really missing the pace needed. There's really nothing I can add. Man City, they played extremely well, they shut out Liverpool, and they completely deserved all 3 points. And we move on to Arsenal versus Bournemouth. It was a great start for Arsenal as they took the lead in the 6th minute through Danny Welbeck. It came when the tank side Kolasinac stormed down the left wing and floated a great cross into the box, which is met by Danny Welbeck, and it goes in somehow. And still, Danny Welbeck is just one of the worst players I've ever seen. Listen to this, right? The ball was great. Kolasinac's cross was great. Danny Welbeck heads it. It then hit his shoulder and then it goes in. I don't even know how he managed to make it so hard for himself. It was a simple finish. But Arsenal doubled their lead 20 minutes later when Alexandre Lacazette got his second goal for the club. It started when Mesut Ozil played it to Lacazette. He gave it to Welbeck, who gave it straight back to him, and Lacazette smashed the ball past Begovic from outside of the box. And Arsenal made it 3-0 5 minutes into the second half when Danny Welbeck got his second of the match. It came when Alexandre Lacazette stole the ball from Dan Gosling in the middle of the field. He laid it off to Aaron Ramsey, who then sprinted forward. The Welsh international then laid it off to Welbeck, who put the ball in the far corner of the net. And that's how the game ended. A good performance from Arsenal, and they definitely needed it following 2 defeats in the last 2 games. Alexis Sanchez didn't start, but when he did come on, he got booed. Bournemouth never really challenged, and in the end it was too easy for Arsenal, who avoided losing 3 games in the league. And if they did lose 3 games in the league, it would have been the first time they've done that since 2012. And Bournemouth have lost their opening 4 games of the season for only the 3rd time in the club's history. And we move on to Everton versus Tottenham. You could tell it was September as Harry Kane opened the scoring in the 28th minute. It came from a corner on the left-hand side and it goes through everyone and goes to the right-hand side of the pitch. Waiting was Harry Kane, who did play a 1-2. He got the ball back and then put a cross into the box. and it goes in. It was extremely lucky, and you know, fair play to Harry Kane. He even admitted it was a lucky goal. But hey, they all count. As Jimmy Conrad said, that was a schross, a shot cross. Big up Jimmy Conrad. And Spurs doubled their lead 5 minutes before half-time when Christian Eriksen got his first goal of the season. It started when Dele Alli put a cross into the box, and on the end of it was Ben Davies, whose shot is saved by Jordan Pickford, but it fell to Eriksen, who put the rebound into the empty net. And Spurs got their third only 47 seconds into the second half when Harry Kane got his second of the match. It was a simple goal as Ben Davies put a cross into the box, and on the end of it with no pressure on him was Harry Kane, who hit the ball first time into the back of the net. And that's how the game ended, a very one-sided game as Tottenham didn't really get out of second gear. They were the better side from start to finish. Harry Kane looks back, scoring 2 goals. One of them was lucky, but if he's scoring, he won't really care. And actually that goal was his 100th goal for Tottenham in all competitions, so it was a decent one to get it. He didn't mean it. But Tottenham dominated and did deserve the win. And we move on to Brighton versus West Brom. It was a pretty dire first half with no real chances for either team, but with pretty much the first chance of the game, Brighton got their first ever goal in the Premier League as they took the lead. It came with Solly March put a great ball into the box from the right hand side, and it landed right in front of Pascal Gross, who managed to hook the ball in despite being off balance. And just after the half-time break, Brighton doubled their lead when Pascal Gross got his second of the match. It really shouldn't have gone in as he jogged his way to the edge of the box and he he tapped the ball into the right hand corner. Ben Foster really should have done better. It was going so slow. Foster really should be saving that, but Brighton fans won't care. And Brighton pretty much had the game won in the 63rd minute when they made it 3-0 through Thomas Hamed. Yet again, Pascal Gross was at the heart of the goal as he delivered a lovely cross into the box, and Thomas Hamed managed to get in front of Johnny Evans and he headed in at the near post. But West Brom would get one back in the 77th minute. It came with the subs linked up when Kieran Gibbs' cross is met by the head of Oliver Burke, and Burke's headers back across goal is straight into the path of James Morrison, who squeezed his shot over the line. And that's how the game would end, and what a great game Brighton had. They looked brilliant on the attack, and especially against the West Brom side, who had only conceded 1 goal from the first 3 matches. Brighton did well to break them down. West Brom tried to rally in the final quarter of the match, especially when Oliver Burke and Kieran Gibbs came on, but at the end, it was too little too late for the Baggies. And we move on to Stoke versus Manchester United. Surprisingly, Stoke took the lead in the 43rd minute through Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting. First try, mother. It was a lovely goal as well as Stoke held the ball for quite a while before Darren Fletcher played a lovely ball forward to Mame Diouf, and the former Manchester United player swung in a lovely ball and Choupo-Moting loses his marker and swept the ball past David De Gea. But almost instantly Manchester United levelled the scoring through Marcus Rashford. Straight from kick-off, Man United attack and win a corner, and from the following corner Henrik Mkhitaryan swung it in. It is headed on by Nemanja Matic. Paul Pogba is waiting for it at the back post, but he can only head it back across goal, and next to head it was Marcus Rashford, and his header does go over the line. And Man United took the lead in the 57th minute through the big Belgian Romelu Lukaku. Joe Allen was caught in possession by Matteo Darmian, who made his way forward and fed the ball to Henrik Mkhitaryan. He then chipped the ball over the Stoke defence and into the path of Lukaku. His first shot was saved by Jack Butland, but there was nothing he could do about the second one as the Belgian slotted home the rebound. But Stoke equalised the scoring 5 minutes later when Eric Choupo-Moting got his second of the game. It came from a corner which Xherdan Shaqiri whipped in, and on the end of it was Choupo-Moting who headed the ball straight into the top corner. And that's how the game ended, and Manchester United really should have won this game, but it was mainly down to Jack Butland, who made some great saves and kept his side in it. Stoke played well, I've already mentioned Butland, but Choupo-Moting also played well, grabbing 2 headed goals. Darren Fletcher was also great against his former side, and in the end they probably did deserve a point, but Manchester United should have won purely for how many chances they had and how many good chances they had if it wasn't for Butland. But they couldn't finish their chances and they dropped points for the first time this season. And we move on to Leicester versus Chelsea. Chelsea were knocking on the door for most of the first half, but it would take them until the 41st minute to open the scoring when Alvaro Morata continued his great goal scoring form. It came with Cesar Azpilicueta put a great cross into the box, and at the back post was Morata who headed the ball down and past Kasper Schmeichel. And Chelsea doubled their lead 5 minutes into the second half when N'Golo Kante scored against his former club. Kante was given as much space as he wants, around 30 yards out from goal. He takes a couple of touches before striking the ball low and hard through the legs of some defenders and into the bottom right corner past the diving Schmeichel. But Leicester would get the perfect chance to get back into the game as they were awarded a penalty in the 62nd minute. It came with Demarai Gray clipped a ball into the box towards Jamie Vardy, and out came Thibaut Courtois, who slid in and clipped Vardy, and the ref correctly pointed to the spot. The man who won the penalty, Jamie Vardy, stepped up to take it, and he smashed the ball straight down the middle. And that's how the game ended. Both sides were quite poor in the finishing department, but in the end Chelsea had too much power going forward, and they did pick up the win. Leicester did get back into it in the second half, but in the end Chelsea had just done enough to pick up all 3 points. And we move on to Southampton versus Watford. It was a really poor game, but we finally got something worth talking about in the 36th minute when Abdullah Doucouré put the visitors ahead. Jose Holebas started the move with a long throw into the box that does cause problems for the Southampton defence. Jack Stevens can only partially clear the ball, and it fell to Doucouré, who hit the ball on the half volley from about 25 yards out, and it goes straight into the back of the net. And Watford double their lead 20 minutes into the second half. Yet again the ball is sent into the Southampton box, and yet again the ball is only partially cleared, but this time it fell to Tom Cleverley. He headed the ball across to Daryl Janmaat, and the defender smashed the ball low and hard into the bottom corner from about 25 yards out. And that's how the game ended. A great win for Watford, who were by far the better side and well deserved the win. Southampton yet again failing to score in a match, with them now failing to score in 4 of their 5 matches this season. And as for Watford, they continue their great start to the season, with them still being unbeaten in their opening 4 games of the top flight season, which is the first time they've ever done this. And we move on to West Ham versus Huddersfield. Despite the fact that the game went in at half-time 0-0, it was a very entertaining game with lots of attacking football. West Ham did come closest out of the two sides when Chicharito hit the bar, but Huddersfield did well to soak up most of the pressure and mounted some attacks of their own that didn't lead to anything. But the second half really didn't follow suit, as the game did die down a bit until the 73rd minute when West Ham took the lead through Pedro Obiang. It came from nowhere as Pedro Obiang struck the ball from outside of the box, and it looked like it was going wide, but it took a huge deflanking off of Zanka's back, and it looped into the top corner, and somehow they've decided to give the goal to him. I don't think that should be his. And 5 minutes later, West Ham had the game won when they doubled their lead through substitute Andre Ayew. It came from a corner which Huddersfield were defending well all night, but not this one, as Aaron Cresswell put the ball into the box, and it was a goal scramble as the ball fell loose and no one picked up Andre Ayew, and he stabbed the ball in from close range. And that's how the game ended, and if I'm honest, I think 2-0 is a little harsh on Huddersfield. They defended well, but 2 momentary lapses of concentration has ended up costing them. West Ham were the better side and did deserve the win, as they were the more attacking side and they had the better chances, and they finally picked up their first win of the season. And we move on to Burnley versus Crystal Palace. It was a great start for Burnley, as only 3 minutes into the match they took the lead when Chris Wood was gifted a goal on his home debut. It came when Lee Chung-yong gifted a great ball to Chris Wood when he was in Burnley's half, but for some reason he turns away, starts to go back towards his own goal, and then played a beautiful pass through to Chris Wood. Bear in mind, they're on different teams. Wayne Hennessy comes out to try and do something about it, but Chris Wood hit the ball first time around the keeper and into the back of the net. And that's actually how the game ended. That's really the only thing that happened. And after this match, Crystal Palace manager Frank de Boer was sacked by Crystal Palace after just 77 days and 4 games in charge, making him the shortest reigning manager in terms of games played. I can see it from both sides. I can see why they sacked him, because they haven't picked up a single point and they haven't scored a single goal, and that is another record, as this is the first time that a side in the top division have lost their opening 4 games without scoring a goal since Preston did it in 1924. But then I can also see why he shouldn't have been sacked, because he's only been there for 4 games. That's nowhere near enough time, but obviously the board had little faith in him and they've given him the boot. But apparently Roy Hodgson is going to take over. Why Roy Hodgson? He's a pleb. But as for Burnley, they did defend well, and 2 goals in 2 games for their new striker Chris Wood. It looks like they picked up a great player if he keeps on going. Palace actually did have a great chance to level the scoring in the dying moments when Scott Dan had a free header from 4 yards out, but he somehow managed to head it wide. Most of the blame is on the manager, but you can't overlook the players. The manager can't make them score. If they keep missing the target, what could De Boer actually do? But Burnley did play well and did come away with a well-earned win. And finally, we've got Swansea versus Newcastle. It was a sleeper of a game. No real chances for either team came in the first half, but we finally got a breakthrough in the 77th minute when the Newcastle captain Jamal Lascelles, I don't know how to say his name, sorry, he put the visitors ahead. It came minutes after Jamal blocked a shot on the line from Tammy Abraham. Newcastle go up the other end, win themselves a corner. Matt Ritchie whipped the ball in, and Jamal was in too much space and placed his header into the back of the net. And that's how the game ended. Not a match that you would rewatch, or a game that you're going to remember this time next week. Neither team were really good enough. The header that ended up winning the match really wasn't defended as well, as Jamal was able to get tons of space and easily head home. Both teams weren't very convincing, but Newcastle ended up nicking all 3 points. So that's all the games I've got for you this week. Before we go, let's take a look at the Premier League table and top goal scorers. Starting off with the Premier League table. Starting with the top 5, and as you can see, Manchester United is still top of the league on goal difference only, as they were held to a draw by Stoke. Manchester City are second after they smashed Liverpool. Chelsea are third following their win against Leicester. Watford are fourth after they beat Southampton. And Tottenham make up the top 5 following their win against Everton. Moving on to the bottom 5, and Crystal Palace are at the bottom after they lost to Burnley. Bournemouth are 19th following their loss at Arsenal. West Ham make up the bottom 3 following their first win of the season against Huddersfield. Leicester is 17th following their loss against Chelsea. And Everton make up the bottom 5 following their loss against Tottenham. Moving on to the Premier League top goal scorers, and as you can see, Romelu Lukaku was at the top after he got a goal against Stoke that took him up to 4 goals. Alvaro Morata is second on 3 goals and 2 assists. Danny Welbeck is third following his double against Bournemouth that put him on 3 goals and 1 assist. Gabriel Jesus also got a double but against Liverpool that took him up to 3 goals. And making up the top 5 also on 3 goals is Sadio Mane. Right, so that's all I've got for you this week. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll be back next Tuesday for the next episode of the Premier League Review. Be sure to follow us on Twitter to stay up to date with us. The link to that is in the description, or it's at @PortionSport_. If you want to follow me or subscribe to my personal YouTube channel, you can. The links to those are in the description as well. All my channels should be popping onto your screen around about now. But anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. I've been Mark from Portion of Sport, and I'll see you soon.